Hello and welcome to One Trek Mind with me, Michael.
And me, Raptor.
Today we're going to be discussing the 6th episode of Starfleet Academy, Come, Let's Away. And just generally speaking here, to start with, I'm very mixed on this episode. I'll preface by saying I don't think it was a bad episode or really a good one. There were aspects of it that I really enjoyed, and there were some that I definitely wasn't the biggest fan of.
I'm kind of with you. I don't think it's a bad episode. I don't think it's what I would call a good episode. I think it's pretty similar to last week's episode, in my opinion. And again, a bit like you, I think some bits of it were really good. I think some bits of it were less good, and there's a few things I have a serious problem with in this episode. So where would we like to start? Maybe a general sum up? Like this episode is about their first away mission, essentially.
Yeah, they've all been in school for... They're not being super specific about the timeline, but based off of like little throwaway lines that they've had, it seems like they've been in school for a semester, about 6 months-ish now, and are doing their first like away mission.
Yeah, given they'd made a big deal in episode 2, I think it was with putting the semester it was on screen, I assume we're going to be told each time a semester passes. So I would say they're still, less than 6 months, maybe even less than 4 months, maybe.
I think there's a line in the episode where someone explicitly says it's been 6 months since this happened.
I must have missed that.
Again, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure I heard someone say, 6 months ago we were doing this, and I'm pretty sure it's been about 6 months. I guess somewhere to start is I enjoyed enough like the opening sequence with Terima and Caleb, where the two of them are just being intimate with one another. They have like a slight misunderstanding when she kind of invades his mind unintentionally. Again, I kind of like in general what they're doing with the character of Terima. Like they've established her as like near superhero level of like mind control and abilities, but I feel like they stop just before crossing that line and making it feel like unnatural in the world of Star Trek. It just feels like, okay, this is a person with an enhanced level of what we've kind of already seen before, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. I do think they jump the shark a little bit, though, with how they use that in the ending of this particular episode.
I mean, again, I feel like it's established well enough where, like, throughout the season, she said, if I lose control, I can hurt people. And you learn in this episode that she's the one who made her father deaf, which I thought was actually a pretty interesting detail to add to the character. I thought that was cool.
I did like that particular detail. The fact that she's literally killed the part of his brain that deals with audio. So all those people complaining that, why have a deaf person in the future? Well, he's not just deaf. It's literally the part of his brain that deals with sound has literally been destroyed by his daughter.
And again, it is amping it up to 11 at the end of the episode, where she just fully unleashes that ability, and she basically pops the brains of a bunch of these what were they called again?
Furies, which I assume is their attempt to kind of, the ancient Greeks had Furies as well. I assume that's what they're going for. Those were, however, one of the big things I had a particular problem with in this particular episode, but let's stick to the good stuff for now. I particularly liked the conversation between Ake and Bracca that occurs about halfway through the episode, where it's explained what has actually happened to Ake in her past, and that it's revealed that she sacrificed the life of her son because she was following Starfleet orders, essentially. And Bracca uses that as a way of kind of trying to goad her, essentially, into a response. But that whole conversation was I thought that was quite a good conversation between Bracca and Ake. It's a shame it doesn't stay good. I think Bracker kind of, initially in this episode, he actually, I think it was a better display of him as a character than in the first episode. But then by the end of it, he just kind of turns into a cliche mustache twirly villain type.
See, I actually disagree with that. I think he's overtly, like, evil. I think he's overtly displayed as a bad person, but he has more nuance to it. He has a personal vendetta against Ake in particular, and it doesn't seem like he's just doing it to do bad things. He's doing it as his own way of survival, which was kind of hinted at and slightly discussed, partly in that conversation where he was talking about how his dad beat him. I think that was the one part of his characterization in this episode that I didn't like, was like, oh, my dad beat me. I was like, well, that's a bit cliche, but okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'll roll with it. It's not like it's unheard of or anything. But in general, I definitely liked his character a lot more in this episode. Because again, in the first episode, he's just really hamming it up. And he's still kind of hamming it up here.
He's still hamming it a fair bit here.
But again, I don't mind that. I think that makes it fun. It makes him more engaging to watch as a character. I just like that we're starting to peel back a few layers as to like what his motives are and what he's willing to do. And even though, again, it is overtly kind of evil, I think it speaks volumes about the character that he goes in under false pretenses of, all right, I'll help you save your cadets if you give me what I want, only to find out that he, in fact, staged the whole thing and had no intention of, not only no intention of saving said cadets, but he was there like to kill them. To me, it proved him to be a worthy adversary. I kind of enjoyed what they did with his character in this episode. Even if I can't stand the little like things he has on his fingers always making noise.
Always making noise, yeah. But I suppose this brings me on to the thing I really didn't like about this episode, and that is that yet again, this only happens because of a really bad choice made by the adults in charge of training a bunch of cadets.
You see, I didn't really view it that way.
Well, let me explain. The whole episode occurs because they decide to do a training mission at a real starship graveyard on a real dead starship that really did go badly wrong and kill everybody in the middle of space. Now, that's not how you do a safe training exercise. Why are they not using the holodeck? A training exercise should be done in a situation, in an environment where you have total control of as many variables as possible. That's why soldiers and navies, they train people in mock war games. The training is done in a range, in a war game, where they have control of the variables. This situation occurs because they go into the middle of space and pick a dead starship to do the training mission on. There's no reason why they can't just do it in a holodeck.
I mean, I agree. There's no reason they couldn't have done it in a holodeck. But again, I kind of forgive it because at a certain point, you do want to get your cadets out there doing something genuinely real.
Yeah, but like the first year for first cadets, the first semester, in my opinion, they put their students' lives in danger. They made a bad call, and this whole situation only occurs because they do this as a matter of routine. It's stated they do this or have done this regularly before. So that means their actions have probably been tracked and traced by Bracker before, which is how he's able to lay this ambush. And it's how anyone could have probably been able to lay an ambush in this situation. Why not just use the holodeck for training the crew until such a time, maybe not the first semester of the first year, but at a time where they are more trained to deal with something live fire, essentially.
Well, again, this wasn't intended to be as such.
No, it wasn't intended to be as such, but any risk assessment the dangers were there. you have no control over most of the variables. Like, they are assuming the starship they're beaming these people to is empty and safe. It turned out not to be either.
Again, I would argue with you there. They didn't assume that. They did their research. They scoped the area out. And unfortunately, Braca had contingencies for all those things. It's not like they just said, oh, well, we've done this before, I'm sure it's fine now. Like, they explicitly stated that they did scope the area out and make sure that they were under safe conditions before they went ahead with this. It just turns out that they got into a bad scenario.
I just think that this whole ghastly ordeal would not have happened if they had just trained the cadets at the school on Earth, which is what the bloody place is there for at the end of the day. That's what the holodecks are there for at the end of the day. When Janeway had to train the crew to go and invade a Borg sphere, they didn't go into space and find a dead Borg sphere and do it there. They just did it on the holodeck, where it was safe and they had control over the variables. The way that the teachers work at this school, it just seems like they have absolutely no safeguarding idea at all, which as a trained teacher really bugs me. So when they fuck up in terms of a teaching establishment, it just annoys me. But the other thing I really don't like is that yet again we just have a generic alien monster. Like Strange New Worlds has turned the Gorn into generic alien monster. These Furies are just, oh, they eat people. They're just generic alien monsters.
I do wish that they had delved into it a little bit, because I got really intrigued when they said they're human-alien hybrids. I was like, what do you mean by that? And then they don't elaborate. I was like, well, wait, what do you mean by that? Like, I do want to know more about them, and I do think it's a shame that they just let them be kind of cannon fodder in the episode and just there as a threat, as opposed to actually get into like what their deal is. Considering they're working with Braca, we may get that in the future, but it is, I think, a missed opportunity to have not explored that here. I don't dislike that they're freaky cannibals or whatever. I think, again, you're talking about the infinite expanse of space here, where I'm sure you're going to run into some pretty nasty things at least every once in a while. So I'm fine with that.
For sure. I just think it seems to be a tendency that Trek now just goes for generic freaky monster that you can't negotiate or talk to and eats you. I just think it's a bit disappointing to see it again. That's all.
I mean, that's fair enough. One thing I did really like about this episode is I felt genuine tension and stakes in this episode during several points. Like, they actually kill two of the War College cadets, or one of them's not a cadet, he's a lieutenant.
He's an officer.
Yeah. Again, it felt like people were genuinely under duress here, and the situation was handled with a serious tone. There's a severe lack of comedy and lightheartedness in this episode, which I think suits it. Again, it wasn't like one of my big gripes with a lot of Marvel movies where it's like, oh, serious situation, this is intense, let's throw in a joke. Like, they don't do that in this episode. I think maybe once, and it wasn't even really a joke. It was just kind of a somewhat humorous moment, I guess. I'm thinking of the moment where Sam is like screaming at the computer to like get it together, we're your new crew. Again, it's not really played as a joke, but I found it like almost kind of humorous the way she acted the situation. But in general, I like that this had a very serious tone to it, a very somber ending, where again, people really took a moment to accept the fact that they had a major loss here in terms of life at the station that was raided and with their own cadets and everything. I thought that was all pretty good stuff.
So last week you criticized, I wouldn't say you criticized me, but we heavily disagreed with where it comes to Caleb being too front and center for solving every problem. I feel like here it's happened again. He came on board and solved the engineering problem straight away.
And I explicitly said, okay, this is getting annoying. I agree with you.
And then again, it was him, because of his connection to telepathic girl, that again saves the day because somehow she's able to do her sonic weapon thing through a mind, basically invading his head. I wasn't 100% clear what was
strongly disagree with you on that. That has nothing to do with Caleb doing anything there. Like, just because he has a relationship with her doesn't mean he saved the day. She saved the day. And I like that.
It was him and her connection in the episode setting stuff up, again making him from front and center to attempt to save the day. I feel like every episode we've had so far, apart from maybe the one about Jaden specifically.
No, because he was a master debater in that one.
Good point. I just feel like he is the one that's being put forward front and center too often.
Well, I mean, he is the main character out of this ensemble cast. I kind of anticipated, as soon as the show opened on his backstory, I was like, okay, so he's going to be our Burnham. He's going to be in sort of ways, like our captain character that's going to be the focal point. But as long as the other characters actually get moments to shine, I'm fine with that personally. I do agree. I think it's starting to rub me the wrong way that he is so good at so many things. Because again, when he got the power on for them under the 2-minute mark, I was like, okay, come on, dude. Like, again, last episode, you were able to hack
hack Sam, literally.
Yeah. Like, you're able to hack Sam in order to get her drunk. Previous episode, you were a master debater. Episode before that, I don't think there was anything in that one.
Yeah, that was the one with the war.
The prank war.
The prank war. Which, again, it felt like everyone was more heavily involved in that episode, which I suppose is the one good thing about that episode. But then episode 2,
Oh, no, wait. In episode 3, he was the one that came up with the winning strategy on the game when they were fighting. So, yeah, he did still have a moment in that episode. He was able to hand-to-hand fight a Klingon hybrid pretty well. Like, he didn't win, but it was still considerably, holding his own. Like, I do agree. I think they're going too far with it and making him too good at too many things. But I think this episode managed to skirt that pretty well. Like, aside from his moment of getting the power on, it was Terima that came to save the day. It was more of a joint effort of people on the bridge and Captain Ake who managed to, come up with solutions here. So I don't think they were too egregious with it in this episode, but I do think they need to. I sincerely hope there's an episode coming up where he's really bad at something. I think that is sorely necessary for the character right now, but again, we'll see.
I would say that the highlight episode so far of the 6 that there has been was the one specifically looking at Jaden, and the rest have all been kind of on a scale of bad to just kind of okay.
I don't know. I liked the Sam episode pretty decently. The second episode I also liked fairly decently. I would agree the only great episode, one that I truly really enjoyed, was the one that focused on Jaden. But so far there's only been one bad episode that I truly just don't feel like watching again if I were to rewatch the show. Again, there's definitely issues I had with this episode, but there was enough good in there for me to be like, it was pretty, it was solid. It was passable. And I don't mind that it was an action heavy episode, considering the past 4 episodes have not been. Again, I'm not inherently against action. It just needs to have its place. It can't be too overdone, where again, I felt like that was a big issue with Discovery, where it was every single episode had crazy over the top action sequences, and it's okay, enough. Can I have one episode where we don't go completely bombastic with it? So I'm glad that we actually got some intensity in this episode. Even though I do think the hand-to-hand fight scene was not filmed very well. I couldn't see what was really going on.
Yeah, it was a little bit... It reminded me of how Discovery used to film their fight sequences.
Discovery had a couple fight sequences that were good, but there were definitely some in there as well that they're just doing too much. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, slow the camera down, pull me out to a wide shot so I can get a general scope of the land here. And there's too many close-ups. Just kind of, again, little nitpicky stuff like that I wasn't overjoyed with. I did find it interesting that Sam was incapacitated by a phaser.
Yeah.
I mean, she showed in the Prank War episode that she can become intangible to avoid getting hit by energy weapons, but this kind of solidified that if she does not do that, that she can get hurt, like the rest of us, which I actually kind of like. I think it makes the character more vulnerable in a way that I didn't expect her to be.
Perhaps? I don't think it makes much sense for me personally. I mean, she's a hologram. Why would she be programmed to feel pain?
Well, I don't think she was feeling pain per se. She was just she was incapacitated.
Maybe? I don't know. I don't think it makes much sense with what she is supposed to be. But on the other side of that, I would say that this is the first time where I actually felt that she was actually used as a holographic individual, hacking into the ship's computer and using her capacity as a holographic program to more quickly get the computer back online and such. Because it has felt up to this point that she just is an quote-unquote a normal person, but she isn't. She's a hologram, so I feel like she ought to be able to do certain things that we've seen holograms do before, but also be used in different ways. So I was glad to see her actually be utilized in this way, and thank God we didn't have Caleb hacking the system again.
Well, again, that's another reason I didn't have an issue with Caleb in this episode, was it did feel like they did a good job, I think, of giving everyone their own way to shine. I think the only character that really didn't maybe was Jaden, because he pretty much just patches up his soon-to-be boyfriend's leg, and that's kind of it. But you see Sam hack the system, bring it back online. You see the Vulcan character who dies use his knowledge of this comic book in order to further help out with the computer problems and bring the force field online. Again, you have Tarima, who kind of saves the day and pushes herself way beyond her limits in order to save the day. And I forgot to mention that, even though, again, I think it's pushing it up to an 11, you're bordering on maybe going into superhero territory with her popping everyone's brains and everything. I like that it did damage to her as well. It wasn't just she can just do that now. It's she went into a coma, so that's definitely not a recommended approach for her in the future. But if she needs to do it, it's it's an option. And again, there was a lot of good captaining, I think, from Ake, where she, better than I ever could, kept her cool with Braca when he's
I would have killed him.
Yeah, he was very, very clearly pushing every button he knew she had, and she was just taking it to the chin, keeping it cool, keeping her composure. I was that's good. That's good leadership. That's a good captain right there. She did well. And I also like that the War College Chancellor, for once, was not insufferable. He was actually just trying to help in this situation just as much as anyone else. Darum and Genesis, they both had little moments on the bridge where they were kind of helping out find the cloaked ship and everything. I think they did a good job with giving everyone a moment to be important.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That
being said, I still would only give the episode, I don't know, a 6 out of 10 probably. I'm it was all right. I probably wouldn't go any higher than that.
I probably wouldn't go higher than 5, just because of, like I said, inherently I think this whole situation comes around because they've put the students in a dangerous situation to start with, which you shouldn't do as a teacher. but that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments section below if you're still watching Starfleet Academy. What did you think of the training exercise being dangerous? If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I'm curious what you think. And obviously don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. But until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.